many times is a sale is lost at hello and not at the end of your cycle. Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today, I'm very pleased. Joining me from Sydney, Australia, Ari Galper. He's best-selling author for multiple books, but recently he, authored a book called Trust-Based Selling. Um, I don't like to steal much from my guests' time. I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves. But before this, I like to give a teaser to our audience. So today we're gonna talk a lot about sales, go to market in the age of AI, and how all these things are changing. And of course, what lessons can Ari share with us today regarding this? Without further ado, Ari, thank you again very much for being here with me today. It's a pleasure and honor to have you. um Give us like your introduction, like background journey, what you're currently up to, and then we can start the discussion from there. So the floor is yours.
Sure, sure. So I specialize in what's called trust-based selling. It's a niche I've been developing for the last 25 years, actually, and have a large following, written obviously 7 books, and have a lot of success. The concept is that you approach a potential opportunity in a different model, without the goal of making the sale, but instead focusing on the truth of whether the problem is serious enough for them to commit to, and you decide, not them, whether it makes sense for them to move forward with you or not. So it's very much a shifted thinking, where it's more of a doctor patient conversation than you trying to build value, do free consulting, relationship building, all those things we're taught to do. We teach people not to do any of that pre-sale. So there's no relationship building, there's no chasing people, there's no follow up. It's the complete opposite of what the traditional model of selling is all about.
That's a very interesting place to start with, Ari. Actually, I work in sales also as well, and this is the narrative, as you mentioned, that we've been, taught for a long time. While preparing for the episode, I see like you talk a lot about trust recession, right?
Yes. Yes.
Um, what is broken, and from your experience, like, is it like the buyers who are changing, or like the sellers are trying to outsmart systems? What's going on there?
Great question. So yes, the buyers have shifted since COVID. So I have coined a term called the trust recession. And what I mean by that is that now, in this day and age, the world has been so commoditized in terms of offer solutions are similar to other competitors, that your potential clients and leads and prospects are in shopping mode, right? They're shopping around for a solution. They see your solution online, they see your website, your LinkedIn profile. They already know what you do. It's not a mystery. Then when they get to us as a new lead in a conversation, we're still using the pre-COVID old model of know,
Hmm.
like, and trust, where we're trying to deliver value. We provide education, and we do what I call free consulting. We give as much value as possible to show the person that we have the expertise to solve their problem. Now, the challenge with that is seen as selling. Delivering value, providing education has been commoditized. When you do all that in a first meeting with someone, what happens is they then want to go think about it, because you gave them information to process, and it's now complicated in their mind. They have to now process the information, and you have to then, the last stage is you have to chase them, follow up with them. Now you're stuck in this loop, chasing more leads, giving value, doing free consulting, playing the numbers game. That's the loop most salespeople in business are in right now, and they assume that's normal. In our world, it's not normal.
Right. Now, Ari, there is one thing before it's very important what you mentioned. I'm gonna go ask deep dive questions in this because, I agree with you on a lot of things. And this is, my whole theory that I developed also similar to yours. And actually, it's even before COVID, but COVID, I think, was the trigger that, pushed people to go this direction. But still till now, people thinks because, and I like, the way how many authors they would put it, like, our brains get trained in a certain way. So we keep in that empty loop. And when I'm talking to a lot of people, especially founders, of course, especially if they are like still trying to learn the thing, so the first thing they tell me, oh, we have a pipeline problem. And I've seen like also you say like it's a trust problem, and you say like, it's, and you mentioned the doctor, patient relation here. So tell me, how we can diagnose that in that conversation. Like, okay, is it really a pipeline problem, or is it something else? Maybe it's a trust problem that's causing, not having people showing up on your website, or maybe having the conversations that you aim to as a business owner, or like as a startup founder.
Yeah, most founders are data driven. They're running the numbers on their business on the numbers, and they're looking at data points in their CRM, looking at conversions, looking at leads coming in stages. That's has nothing to do with dealing with the issue of converting the lead to a client. The issue is missing here is trust. Trust is the missing component that most founders do not understand how to manage, how to develop, and how to train. And so what they do is they put more numbers in their pipeline and they run everything off a dashboard, and they're banging their head against the wall saying, why are we not making more sales? We have leads coming in, we have sales teams on the phone. And it turns out the problem is the communication that occurs between the buyer and the seller and how that first meeting begins. Because my theory, and I've tried to prove this for many times, is a sale is lost at hello and not at the end of your cycle. Yeah, we are pushing people down a long sales cycle. And so my whole approach is called the one call sale, where in one single meeting, the first meeting, I'm not saying a signed contract. Of course, there's multiple,
Hmm.
but I'm suggesting to you, if you do the first call right with my model, they'll commit to you to a next step on your calendar, not you chase them to initiate a process with you.
Ari, but as we started the conversation, I would bet like maybe 98, if I don't want to say 99% of people who comes and learn about sales have been trained about, yeah, like persuasion is everything. St- your funnel is not updated. Of course, we had like discussions about the CRMs, and like updating the CRMs, and you're not controlling the thing. And then, you know I work in technology and in B2B specifically, and there are like these different, I would say, qualification methodologies. We have also like the follow up, like the playbooks and all this. Honestly, what was mind opener for me is the AI. And then I started to figure out like how robotic we were, and then now we go and complain about AI. So like you flip that completely with your theory. Like I want you to dig more in showing like why that old model is completely wrong. Like why we need to change the mindset of salespeople, to have, having the discussion with enterprise customers, with like anyone on the same level as you just describe it, as a doctor, not as just a sales guy.
Here's why: because we have all been brought up in the know, like, and trust model. We believe our potential leads have to like us, get to know us. We have to create a relationship with them. And that extends the entire cycle because trust is not created until the end of the cycle, not the beginning. That's the problem. So, what I have discovered is that you have to remove the know, remove the like, and only focus on trust from the beginning. And that's going to be difficult for people who've been trained to be sales oriented, persuasion, relationships, adding value, following up with people. That's exactly the wrong things people should be doing.
I mean, if I want to put this into practice, right?
Sure.
Now, the old model say, like, we develop a value proposition messaging, right? We train everyone around it, and then we put that on the website, and then we get like bunch of people. You want to call them SDR, you want to call them inside sales, whatever, and we go out and we start to reach out to people. Now, matter of fact, what I'm saying, because I also interview a lot of founders here, and what I've seen, the difference between the ones who are succeeding and getting this 0 to 1 kind of from sales motion perspective are the ones who are like spending time building trust through what we call it founder led growth. They are showing their face on LinkedIn and other publications. They are like trying to establish this the thought leadership, while the ones who are still stuck in the old model, they blame, oh, the competition is tough, I'm not getting the right people here. Just as someone who believe in the theory that I believe in, actually you might have get out with it before me, but are you seeing this kind of founder led growth and GTM strategies better working rather than building the old way? In another way, if I want to simplify this, if I am a founder today and I want to apply this trust based selling, where should I start? What can I start doing today so I don't get stuck in the old model?
Well, you're talking about personality positioning.
Mm-hmm.
That's not selling. Okay. When I say selling, I'm talking about tactical one-on-one, you and someone else on a Zoom meeting for a first call. That's selling. The founder-led growth is a very broad term that does not necessarily address every element underneath it. Now, of course, you're much better off having personality-driven business where you're positioned in the media as an expert at what you do. That absolutely has leverage and advantage. But you could have all of that and then you get on the Zoom call or Teams meeting with someone new who's a qualified lead. You can do the complete opposite and start talking about your firm, start providing value, start becoming their friend, do a live demo, and then say instead of quote, and then chase them. And now you're stuck, even regardless of all the visibility you have as a founder. So there's two levels: the
Mm-hmm.
strategic positioning, and then there's the doctor-patient framework and the language you got created to build that trust on the live first meeting.
Right. Now, you talked about Ari the 1 hour call sale concept, right?
The one call sale.
One call sale. Sorry, yeah. So some people might think this is unrealistic, but I'm sure you have like proof points for that. What actually needs to happen in that call for it to
Let's do an
work?
example. Let's do an example. The reason why people can't believe it is
Yeah.
because they're conditioned to do know, like, and then trust. Trust comes down the road, long sales cycle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll show you an example right now what I mean by that. Okay.
Please.
To
Yeah,
eliminate the
sure.
first two and a real example live. Okay.
Yes.
Let's say, for example, Mehmet, that you have a new opportunity, a new lead that's agreed to meet with you on Zoom or Teams. A new,
Mm-hmm.
and you can see they're fairly qualified. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Let's say they show up on Zoom, you show up on Zoom, and there you are, they are. How do you begin your meeting from there typically?
Usually I thank them for joining the call
Why?
because they gave me some.
You're the doctor, they're the patient. Doctors don't thank their patients for coming to the meeting. See,
Right.
you're doing everything unconsciously right now that I'm suggesting to you is you're being conducive to the
Mm,
prospect. You're thanking them for their time. Yet they have a problem, and you're the expert. They should be thanking you for your time for showing up. So thank you for playing along
true.
with me here. I want to give you an idea what I mean by the
Sure,
old
sure.
habits. Out.
I'm happy we're doing this.
So you say thank you for coming today, and I say thank you, appreciate that. So where do you go from there? What do you normally say from there?
Um, so the first thing I need to be prepared and look how actually we booked this meeting. Like, what was the cause? Like, this is what I
Let's
do
just
personally.
say they sent an inquiry, they scheduled a call, and they show up. They're a CEO of a company. They fit your profile. Forget preparation. There they are. They're on the calendar, and there you are. What do you do after? Thank you for coming today.
Yeah, the traditional way, which I also would do, is like start to asking them again the discovery questions. Like, oh, like so you guys you filled this form. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about what you have? Like, what kind of problems you're facing today? the traditional, playbook of any discovery call.
Okay. Don't do any of that.
Okay.
And stop having discovery calls for your first meeting. Your first meeting is a trust call, not a discovery call.
Hmm.
If you're asking fact finding questions, they're not going to tell you the truth because they don't trust you yet. They're going to give you a few breadcrumbs and you're going to be excited and you're going to. So, okay, let's start. Let's try our approach. Okay.
Hmm.
Thank you for
Sure.
playing along with me there. Okay. Very patient. Thank you. Patient man. So, in our model, you're the doctor, they're the patient. When they show up on Zoom, here's what you do. First thing you say is, nice to meet you, Mehmet. Nice to meet you as well. That's it.
Silence.
Next thing you say is this. If it's okay with you, if you wouldn't mind, take a step back for a moment, walk me through your background, your situation, and up to your current concerns you have related to whatever you do, technology or finances, your business model, and we'll go from there. Would that be okay with you? Take your fingers like this over your mouth like a doctor, sit back in a chair like this, like a therapist.
Yeah.
What does this do for you, first of all? What does this help you do?
Not talk.
Don't talk. That's the hardest part you're going to have a problem with, and everyone else listening today. Don't talk. Position yourself as the expert in the room. It's not
Listening.
about you. They don't want to hear
Yeah.
your voice. Nothing personal. They just don't
Of
want to
course.
hear you. They want to tell their story. But what do? Nice to meet you. Where are you from? Really? Oh, great. How'd you hear about us? And now we're all friends. That's the problem with that is that's called a peer-to-peer relationship. When you're peer-to-peer and friends, you're not the doctor. You can't ask the hard questions. You can't get to the truth. You can't do your job. That when you see a doctor, they don't say to you, "Oh, let's have lunch first. Have a cup of coffee would be great. Let me tell you about me. I went to medical school. Here my." They don't talk about themselves. But what do? We start asking questions and talking about ourselves. Anyway, so you go like this, and they start talking. I
Hmm.
promise they'll start talking right from the beginning. They'll start downloading on you. As you're listening to their problems, what will your brain start doing in the back of your mind? Your system start doing what?
Trying to just position, like they mentioned this, like let's tell them about that feature. Let's tell them
Yes,
about
you're
that.
listening for the purpose of trying to move them to a next step.
Exactly.
That's not listening. That's your own agenda to move them down a process they know they're already in, and that triggers pressure and breaks trust right there. You listen without an agenda. Do not move them forward. Do not try and solve the problem. That's called the expert syndrome because you know your material so well. When you hear a qualified prospect express their problem, your system goes, perfect. We can fix that. They're qualified. How many locations? Oh my God. See, we start to we start to get excited because now they
Yeah.
fit our profile.
Seeing
That's
dollar signs.
yes. Now it's about you, and they can feel that from you. They can tell you're not genuine. They know you have an agenda. You're not authentic. They
Yeah, you've
cannot
just
trust
tried to
you.
do like this. Oh, okay. Now they're gonna slaughter
You're
me
break,
now.
you're breaking trust with them because they can see you're playing a game.
Right.
And this is where all these sales get destroyed at hello. No AI, no CRM, no founder led model, no cadence, no workflows, nothing. Just the actual conversation itself.
Which is actually like the human way to do it, right? The natural way.
Yes. But we got so wired and programmed and conditioned to play a game and not be ourselves that we just get caught up in it because I make a joke about this. We get this drug in our bodies called hopium. You know
Yeah.
the hopium drug? Where you get excited and you hope you get the deal, you're excited and you gotta stay centered and breathe and have bedside manner, have empathy. Let me continue the process here. So they
Sure.
tell you their problem, you listen. When they're done talking, here's what you say. You say, so what I understand your core issues are X, Y, and Z. Is that correct? And they go, exactly. Tick box number one. He's listening to me. He's not
Mhm.
talking. I think he might be okay. Next question you ask is this one. How long has this been a concern for you for?
Hmm.
Every question, always go like that afterwards. Mhm. What have you done so far on your own up until now to try and address this? This sends a message. This tells them you're not talking today at all. It's not about
Yes,
you,
definitely.
not about your company, not about your services. You're diagnostic mode only, not the pharmacy mode that dispenses the medicine. That's down the road. Stop being the pharmacist, be the doctor. Okay.
Yeah, this is the last thing.
Everybody confuses it. They try and be the doctor and the pharmacist all in one, and the whole thing gets messy at the end of the meeting. You know what they say to you? They say, I like to think about it.
Yeah, we'll come back to you.
And here you are. You say, what? They're perfect. I give value. We're a good fit. I'm not going to chase them. I'll get more leads. That's the way sales is. No, that's the trust recession.
Right.
Nobody realizes it. They're sleepwalking. They think it's AI, it's the pipeline, it's the lead. No, it's you. It's your approach to the other human. And that's the gap between AI and trust. As AI gets better, people who sell have to get better at trust building and stop getting better at selling. Selling itself is the problem. It's the core issue that blocks trust. It sounds ridiculous to tell someone stop selling, stop reading sales books, and stop following up with people.
Right.
People don't want to be sold. They don't want to be chased. They don't want to quote. They don't want to follow up. They hate it.
Yeah, they don't like it.
So why are we doing it? Because that's all we know to do. We assume that's the way it is. That's the game.
Can I share something with you? I think I shared with a couple of people. I'm not sure if I have said it on the podcast before. So I was working, like at vendors and, applying the same thing. And then, 2023, I went by myself. I became kind of independent. I don't have a vendor hat or something like this. So I start to meet some of, potential clients, or some of them, they were my clients before. And I asked this question. I said, listen, I know for a fact that sometimes you're not shopping for a solution, but you still have the call. Why you do this? He said, you know what? Sometimes I need to fill the agenda with something, right? He said, and you know what I hate? The guy like talking for 30 minutes and he didn't ask me even one single question. I said, why you don't stop them? And he said, like, yeah, but I'm still want to be like a nice guy. I don't want like people to think like I'm harsh or like I'm, like non-polite or something like this. So I said, you are a very patient guy. I said, if someone phones me or like asks me for a meeting and is proposing something that I don't want, I said, hey, I have no time. Your time is also precious. Like, I would not waste your time and my time for the sake of both of us. So I think this is very important. I give this example, Ari. I'm not sure if it can fit of what you have said as well. I challenge people sometime by asking this question. So let's take it like very simple thing. You go to a shopping mall and you have like two shops that sell almost the same thing. Why do you think someone would shop from a place rather than the other place? Although like they have promoters there, right?
Probably because they
It's
feel
just,
more comfortable with the human
ex-
being in the process.
exactly. This is exactly the thing. Now, in the process, so you said like no follow-ups. You say like, we don't need to chase, right? The question is, if all this, we apply this, why do you think still sometimes we might have deals that are stuck? Okay, you mentioned procurement, maybe they have to get signatures, but if if the deal get stuck somehow, is it because of the pricing? Is it because of there's a gatekeeper there? Like what could be some of the reasons? And
It depends on the scenario. I'd have to do a
Mhm,
deeper dive into the deal. But typically, long sales cycles are indicative of a lack of trust.
mhm,
Okay. And my business case here, and I've proven this many times before, is that you can work only on trust building within your complex deals. You'll compress the sales cycle because your ambassador, your champion will want to move this forward because you've helped them build a business case for it. And what I call the cost of inaction, not ROI, but COI, the cost of them not fixing the problem is more expensive every day they wait. And that creates urgency for them. So if people are selling ROI, they should stop immediately. People, that's future selling. Oh, if you do this, you get the 5 years from now, you get your return back. Really? They don't believe you anyway. So stop selling ROI, sell COI, which is what's the cost or impact your business right now by having the problem. What's the impact? How's it impacting your revenue? How's it impacting your cost structure now, not 5 years from now?
Yeah, we used to call it I mean, not everyone, but me and I had a colleague, we used to tell people cost of doing nothing, like CDN.
Same thing. That's
Yeah,
right.
same
Simple
thing.
cost of an
Yeah,
action. Correct.
yeah. But again, the way, and this is where, I disagree with people who, because they still have that mindset in the background. Like, if you create too much a fake urgency, this fires back also sometimes. Like,
Yeah, there's no fake urgency here because not your urgency, it's their urgency.
exactly. And
So
also, like, the other thing, yeah, go ahead, Brady, please.
and they have to own it. So you might help them build a business case for them, but here's the key phrase you have to ask on the first meeting, and that is this: Is this a priority for you
Hmm.
to resolve once and for all, to fix this and stop losing what you're losing, or are you happy to leave it as it is and we'll kick it down the road, down the road? I'm okay either way.
Right. And like, the other mistake I've seen people doing it, so they exaggerate to an extent that they look so desperate. And actually, some people might take advantage of that because, they start to throw free stuff. And the other part would say, okay, like, these guys looks desperate. Let me use that to my benefit. Let's get free stuff. Let's get, like, free licensing here, free consultation there, and it drags and drags and drags, and then nothing happens. So, absolutely. Now, Ari, I know you have built something interesting. You built Ari AI as a trust-based AI system, right? Tell me a little bit more about it, and how did you choose to optimize it for trust rather than anything else?
Well, I've been I have 25 years of work, 17 million words of all my publications, all my work, all my recordings over 25 years, and I never made it public. I kept it for myself. And then all of a sudden AI came around last year and I realized, oh, I thank God I did that because now I have proprietary wisdom and expertise that I can now put into a proprietary AI model that's not publicly available to anybody except if you're a member of mine in my world where you can literally speak to me. It's my voice, my tonality, and my knowledge. You can basically ask me questions. You can bring a scenario. You can provide an email, and I'll rewrite it for you automatically in real time. We have a lot of experts that we're using and paying for this tool for the purpose of dealing with complex scenarios. They can't get a hold of somebody on the phone. What do they say? How do they reply to somebody who's rejected them? And the response to the languaging is always trust based, not sales based. So if you go to like the general public, like an AI, Open AI or something like that tool, you try and search my stuff in there, you only get 10% of what's public. The rest is not. It's all private, 90%. And that's what RAI is. It's basically a live coach that's 24/7 that you use to help you convert the leads that you have.
Right. And I think it's a strategic decision that you kept the control for this, Ari. Now we are seeing, like, a lot of people, and my LinkedIn feed is full of this people who are trying to actually utilize AI. And the feedback I'm hearing from both people in sales and customers, that it made it worse. You know, we're not happy about what we're seeing. Why do you think is that? Like, is there some fixing needs to happen first before adopting the AI in sales, and how that can work for them in case they say, okay, let's utilize this technology to our benefit.
Well, there's two pieces of the puzzle here. There's lead
Hmm.
generation and there's
Right.
conversion. Okay. So the question is, how are you using it? If you're trying to use it for lead generation and you're spamming it or you're using it through LinkedIn, you have to make sure that the languaging that is conveyed is fully authentic and non-automated. I get it all the time. But these AI bots, they scan my profile and they say, Mr. Galper, I noticed you've been very successful using your trust-based approach, and they copy my profile in different words. Like, oh my God, please. You can tell, you really could tell if it's natural and human, and maybe you can't tell. But either way, you're degrading your cognitive abilities by not being able to communicate with people specifically in a way that is human, where they can relate to you by attempting to use a tool to replace yourself.
Great. One thing also while preparing, of course, I had some of the materials that your team shared with me, and there's one thing that stopped me, which is the differentiation between funnel versus cylinder. When we talk about like, yeah, okay, so for people who are not familiar with sales, so we call it the funnel, right? So it's like you have the top of the funnel, so everything that comes, and then you start to filter it down. So you talk about the cylinder approach here, the sales cylinder. So let's open this a little bit more, and how this affect the conversion, because at the end of the day, to your point, like the goal of getting the leads is completely different from closing, which we call it conversion also sometimes. So tell me a little bit more about this differentiation between a funnel and a cylinder.
Right. So most business owners or salespeople or marketing people believe their job is to use a funnel model where their job is put as many leads as you can at the top of the funnel and work the middle system, qualification, follow-up proposals, and at the end, out comes a client. That's called high volume, low conversion,
Hmm.
which is typically the model for most businesses, 80-20, 80 pipeline, 20% conversion or less. Then, so we flipped that model and we use what's called a cylinder, a sales cylinder. It's not wide, it's narrow at the top and narrow all the way down. You only put the top of your ideal client profile, and the down that little cylinder, there is no follow up, there's no selling, there's no promotion, there's nothing you do to qualify. Because they're already pre-qualified, but you only build trust with them, and out comes a lot of marbles of clients, which now you turn in your business from a low volume, high margin to sorry, opposite high volume, low conversion to low volume, high conversion.
It is again like it looks unconventional, but if you think about it, I call anything, and like I like to challenge the status quo. Like this is what I try to do in every position I took. And one time I remember I asked this question, like, why we waste our times on something that we know for fact, like 80-20, you just mentioned this. So why I'm wasting my time and energy and efforts on something that everyone, not only me, like everyone agrees with me, yeah. And funny enough, like one time I saw, I was having discussion with an inside sales SDR, and he was telling me like, yeah, we have also this that comes from Facebook, and it was a B2B business. And said, hold on one second, why you waste your time with Facebook leads? Like, because if they are really business people, they shouldn't be hanging on Facebook to get information about us. He said, yeah, but like we have to go with all over them. I said, but you and me, we know that these are like waste of time, right? So this is why, like I call it like focusing on what it matters rather than just, like keep doing this. But I think this is very, very important for founders to listen to us, because they have, you know still they listen to what they have read or seen or watched. I want you, and once for all, to tell them where they should put their effort on pipeline growth or conversion depth, like where really the effort should be.
It depends how much volume they need in their business and their price points. If they're in a low volume, high margin model, where maybe a handful of clients a month or 20 a month or 30 a month would be incredible, not 1,000,
Hmm.
then they should be focusing only on conversion only. I can tell you right now, any founder who came to me, I'd ask them this question. I'd say, how many leads a month are you getting for your business? They'd say 50. I'd say, of the 50, how many are you converting? I promise you're going to say anywhere from 5 to maybe 20, maybe 23, 4, 20%. And I'm going to say,
Mhm.
what happened to the other 25% or 30 leads that did not convert? Oh, they weren't qualified. Oh, we're following up with them. Well, let's take off 5 of them and say they're not qualified. Some may not be, but how about the other 15 in there that you haven't converted? Well, we're following up with them right now. That's the problem. You're following up with them. You can double your conversion rate by
Mhm.
focusing specifically on trust building and not chasing these leads that you let them go through your process because you overeducated them, did a live demo with them, set a proposal with them. Now you're chasing them in their inbox, the proposal. The hardest part of this is recognizing that we are the problem, not AI, not systems, not playbooks, us, because we've been wired to pursue the numbers game.
Let me ask you this as a follow-up question, Ari, because if we want to think about the next generation of people in sales, right? And we want to educate them the right way. So should we tell them you have to tear down and forget every single sales book that you have read, um, and you have to forget about these. Um, I don't like I don't like don't
Look,
misunderstand me. I
look,
hope.
if they're happy with their current results, don't change.
Hmm. No, but I'm talking about new people because the new people that come, the new
Oh, for sure.
generation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're gonna
They're
go and check, for example, they're gonna see playbooks, frameworks, and they said, yeah, look, like this company, they have applied them. Now, what and really it's not because you're talking to me, it's not a compliment to you, Ari, of although like I appreciate like you have done 20, 25 years of research on this and you have written a lot of books, but I mean I'm seeing it in front of me now. So we want to tell the new generation how they should ditch all these you know things that might not make sense and focus on the one thing that they need to learn. What is it
trust
in
building.
your
Trust building is all they should do, and it should not do any sales training at all.
So, do you think like what would be, mm, in the future? Do you think like sales as a function will be disappearing because of this? Because anyone can do, can build trust. I mean, not anyone, of course, but I mean that the skill started to become different. So, how you see that evolving? How do you see the profession of sales evolving? um Moving more maybe into like more product, maybe moving towards like a combination with an AI avatar that can help you in doing this. I'm just like trying to see, or no one can guess, but I'm trying to see like where things are heading for
If
people in
if
sales.
you're selling human to human,
Hmm.
there's no we're not heading anywhere. We're here now. Okay, nothing to change. Humans don't change. AI can change, tech can change. We are the same. We have the same issues. Okay? So you have to master the art of trust building now. And if you're new to the career, you have to master a structure around this because just becoming their friend and relationship building is not trust building. It's a different definition. It's more of a structured model where they feel comfortable opening up to you and telling you the truth early in the process with them based upon this one called sales structure. So it is something you have to learn. It's a learnable skill. You can't just show up. I'm not saying you're not trustworthy. I'm not
Hmm.
challenging the ethics of the person themselves. That's not the issue. The issue is they don't know how to communicate and build trust with others at a level where they get the truth quickly. That's the problem.
Right.
And that
Now,
has not changed in 25 years since I've been doing this.
absolutely.
Economy, technology, spaceships, doesn't matter. Human to human communication is the open loop here that we have to jump on immediately to win this game.
Maybe I will repeat myself. You know, for me, it's just um don't be robotic, right? So people complain about the AI now, but actually we've been robotic all the time because they give us this sales script, and
That's
if they tell you this, do that. If they act like this, do that.
scripting.
If
Scripting. Yeah.
Yeah. So
And we're already robots anyways. We were following scripts, right?
yeah. And someone, I challenged someone. I said, hey, like, like, don't complain about these emails written by AI because yourself, you've been training people to do this like all the time. He said, no, but we didn't use AI. I said, yeah, but AI is just exactly what it does. Like, you train someone on something and then they go and imitate it like word by word. And there's one thing, Ari, I want to ask you here also. How much is important? Because you talked about, like, I gotta do your act now, like doing like this, be and showing the empathy. How much this is really important, also to understand. I would call it the psychology of the person in front of you, because one of the things that I've seen people doing wrongly and enough wrongly is when they tell by the way, I've seen doctors doing this, and I don't like to deal with such doctors. So if they know that you have this pain and they told you that, yeah, we have this pain, so try to start to leverage that on to your side. How much is important here, to mind yourself, like when they acknowledge that they have the pain, they have the problem that you solve, to make sure that you show kind of empathy also as well, and not just, okay, now I'm gonna send you to the operation room, and we will be ready to do whatever. So
You're talking about viewing this as a technique. This is not a
yes,
sales technique. This is
yes,
real. You have to care about them. And here's why, because they are going to hire you emotionally, not intellectually. How they feel about you and your approach is whether they tell you the truth or not. And when they say to
yeah,
themselves, wow, he gets me, he understands me, and he's not trying to sell me anything, he's the one. He's reciting emotionally right there because you're not selling.
right.
I like him. I can trust him because he's not playing a game with me and he's not forcing a social structure on top of a business structure.
And maybe I'm repeating something you mentioned at the beginning. Buyers are, of course, they were smart all the time, but now, like, no, any time before, they are more empowered to get your tricks, right? So they would understand it like this, like they
The
know.
game is over. There, everyone knows the game. It's over to hello. That's why
Yeah.
when you said thank you for your time, they're gonna go sales call.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Ari, um how do you, like, have you developed a program where you work with companies to train their workforce on this, like how people get in touch with you to get that methodology of trust-based selling?
Yes, we have our own learning hub and center and community called Selling with Trust as the name. And you get it's an app. You get into it for free. If you go to arigalper.com/free, you can join the community, access my Master in the Mindset course. And when you fill out the profile form, there's an option there to select, yes, I like a complimentary consultation. Then you can talk to one of our coaches to help you understand where you're breaking things down, and we can send you our book as well in the mail. So the best thing for anybody listening now who wants to learn more about this is just go to arigalper.com, my name /free. Join the membership there; it's free, and take the first course. Introduce yourself to the community there. We have a large community that's sharing ideas around this because it's a revolution. I'm calling it the trust revolution, and so if you want to be part of this, then just join and learn.
Great. So I will make sure I will put the links in the show notes, of course. Ari, any final thought you want to share today before we wrap this up?
I would just say that your potential clients aren't going to send you any money unless they trust you. And relationship building is not trust building because real relationships take a lot of time. The trust comes at the end, not during. It's all a game in between. So you need to be comfortable learning how to stop relationship building and focus on trust building to compress your sales cycle down to a short amount of time. It's the only way to win the game in trust recession.
100%. Yeah, because like allow me to use this example, Ari. If I need to fix my car, I don't. If I need to build a relationship with my mechanics, my car will will be stuck for I don't know, God knows how many weeks
Thank
or
you very much.
months.
That's a great metaphor.
Yeah. Yeah, because we need to figure out, because again, this is how I come to the mechanics, because I did my search, and like, and he doesn't have to say, hey, like, I know who you are. This is why I'm here,
He
right?
just
So
diagnoses. That's all he does.
exactly, exactly. This is was, in my opinion, very eye-opening, Ari, and thank you for sharing this. I will personally go and check out also the community, because a lot of the ideas that you share, I have them in my mind, but I wasn't like courageous enough back in the days to go and tell these things. So um, thank you for bringing this, because really it's important, and I think this is where everyone benefits by building the trust, not the relationship first, because you need business to go move forward. We need like these startups to thrive. We need every business to thrive, and we can't just wait weeks and months and sometimes years to close deals. So we need things to be moving, especially in the age of AI, much faster. So thank you for sharing your experience, Ari, with us today. And as I said, the links will be in the show notes. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting app, if you are watching this on YouTube, they will be in the description. And this is how I end my episodes. This is for the audience. If you just discovered this podcast by luck, thank you for passing by. I hope you enjoyed. If you did so, give me a favor. We're trying just to do a uh, kind of an open learning, bringing thought leaders, operators, founders, and great thinkers like Ari today, to share their findings and their thoughts here. So it's just we're trying to do a bigger impact. So give me a favor, share it with your friends and colleagues. And if you are one of the people who keep coming again and again, thank you very much for the support. I know I repeat this every episode at the end, but it's a true thing. We couldn't reach what we reached so far without your support. And when I say this, it's because the numbers always tell the truth. We are seeing the podcast since last year, 2025, in multiple countries at the same time in the Apple Top 200 podcast charts. And this doesn't happen by itself. We don't have bots that go and listen. It's our actual people who are listening to the show. So thank you very much. Thank you for everyone for keeping tuning in. And as I say always, stay tuned for a new episode very soon. Thank you. Bye bye.